Coach Kevin W. Lang. In his 32 years of coaching, Coach Langs has been at Portage Central, Reed City, Battle Creek St. Philip, Spring Lake, and Climax Scotts starting in 1999. As I mentioned previously, I like statistics. When Coach Lang started at Climax Scotts, they were not in a conference. They joined in 2001. First 2 years, they got their feet wet by winning 2 and losing 4. But from 2003 through 2017, the past 15 years, they have won 13 conference championships with consecutive conference wins of 36 and 50 games for an overall conference record of 91 wins and 7 losses. Has had 10 undefeated regular seasons, 16-year state playoff qualifier with 6 district championships, 2 regional championships, and an undefeated Division VIII state championship in 2004. Awarded the Detroit Lions Coach of the Year, Coach of the Week and Year in 2007. 6-time Coach of the Year by the Battle Creek Enquirer. AP Division VIII Coach of the Year in 2003. 2-time MHSFCA Regional Coach of the Year. And MHSFCA Division VIII Coach of the Year in 2004. Coach Langs will begin his 20th year at Climax Scotts this fall. Coach Langs' biggest thrills in coaching. It is to say, this football journey has been a family affair. My wife, athletic secretary, coached all 3 sons. My daughter, stat girl. Future son-in-law, played for me. My father, film practices. And my mother, my biggest cheerleader. Coach Lang's most humorous incident in coaching. This past year, in a playoff game, we beat Fulton Middleton 84-62. Combined 146 points, which is a Michigan high school record. We had 717 yards, all rushing, second best in the state. I noticed, well, you're chuckling. And Fulton Middleton had 561 yards, a total of 1,278 yards, which may be a national high school record. After giving up 62 points and 561 yards, we did keep the defensive coordinator. We had to. He was my wife's son. What coaching has meant to Coach Lang. Football coaching has allowed me to say that I have not been to work in over 30 years. It was a dream come true being asked to be the head coach at my alma mater in 1999. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Hall of Fame, Coach Kevin W. Lang.
Jack's really worried I'm going to go over that 5-minute. I'll do my best. Quite an honor. A couple of thank yous we'd like to get through. First of all, I'd like to thank Leo Rosenkrantz and Rob Zimmerman, 2 gentlemen who made sure the small school guy got nominated. Sometimes small school guys, it's tough. You get overlooked in that process, which is understandable. I'd like to look around and notice that there are a couple other small school guys. So Leo and Rob, thank you. Like to thank the association. What a special way they treat the inductees and the family. I've never had a pen pal, but after the last few months with Jack Carlson, I think I do now. I'm not a great tech guy, but I sent more emails to Jack than anybody. And I can tell by the passion that he and Larry take this induction that it really makes it special for those of us at this table. I'd like to thank the communities of Scotts and Climax. 2 really unique places. We always say this when somebody asks where we're from. I'll tell people that we have more pigs and cows than people where we live. I'd like to thank all the former players who have played for us. We have the current administration from Climax Scotts sitting over here. We appreciate attending tonight. I'd like to thank my father-in-law because 33 years ago I went to him and asked for his daughter's hand in marriage, and he was nice enough to say yes. Thank you for Roy and Mary for being here tonight. I'd like to thank my mother-in-law, Janet Cattell, key thing in my life. It's rare that a mother-in-law can say she was absolutely instrumental in introducing Jesus Christ to her future son's life, and so, Mom, that was life-changing. I'd like to thank my sister, Julie, the world's greatest fundraiser. She's absolutely dynamite. She just got inducted to our Hall of Fame at Climax Scotts. My brother, Mark, who got all the gifts in the family. He's an auto mechanic, so whenever there's trouble, I call him. I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My mom, Lois, she taught me unconditional love and a tremendous cheerleader. My father, my hero, my mentor, taught me the love of sports and the love of the University of Michigan. God brought certain mentors to my life inside our journey here in the coaching profession. Bob Knight at Portage Central gave a young man a chance at 21. Tom Hickman, the athletic director at Spring Lake, mentored me on and off the field. Tom Holden was a part of the Hall of Fame, taught me the full house tee offense, so we've always appreciated that. Jack Gibson, we call him the godfather of football at Climax Scotts. Climax Scotts had dropped varsity football, and it was Jack Gibson who kept that sport alive at our small school. Gary Fisher, who was with us our first 13 years at Climax Scotts, he was a gentleman who kept me under control at school. Bruce Rolfe, I see Scoop here today. Kids at Climax Scotts have it pretty special. Folks, we have 600 people in one town, I think 400 in the other. But we have a newspaper called the Climax Crescent, and our kids think they're part of a metropolitan area because they get interviewed all the time. They're on YouTube, so our kids are well versed at that, so thanks, Scoop. Also, another gentleman who's not here today, his name is Eddie Stern. Eddie and he's the only gentleman that has been with me for all 20 years. Eddie is a Down syndrome. He's 36 years old. He is our water boy. And if you ever have a chance, I'd love to tell you about Eddie Stern and our stories and about the country of Iceland. Sometimes when I get up here, I have a tendency to have a thought and a process. But Iceland had a unique situation this last summer. They were able to eliminate Down syndrome people. And I'll be honest with you, life would not be right without people like Eddie Stern. So if you have a chance, you might want to look that one up. Climax Scotts is a very special place. We call it a hidden gem in Kalamazoo and Calhoun County. Just a small place off the beaten path. It's just a very unique place for us to raise our family. Our superintendent is here tonight. His name is Doug Newington. Every time I get in front of a microphone, Doug starts to sweat. I mean, if you can see him right now, it's probably coming down his slightly bald head. Because he's afraid I'm going to say something here educationally. And I'm gonna. I think there's still a small place on this planet for small, rural public schools. I am really, really concerned when we judge a human being by a standardized test score. I go to school every day to work in my classroom so that that young person, male and female, is simply more than a standardized score. I understand that there has to be some form of testing, but I guarantee you right now, that's a human body with blood pumping through them every day. They have dreams and goals beyond something that can be recorded on a test score in a state filing. As Jack mentioned, I'm a 1982 alumnus of Climax Scotts. I happened to meet my girlfriend there 40 years ago. I was 14 years old. I'm going to be able to tell you a little bit more about that girlfriend as we go. My family, all four of my children, were graduated from Climax Scotts, so it's a unique place. My first three children were boys. My fourth one was the princess. So very unique that I had a chance to teach all my children. I had a chance to coach all three of my sons. And as Jack said, my daughter was on the sidelines every Friday night doing stats. So she got to be inside that battle every day. Now what's even maybe more unique is that three of my children also married Climax Scotts grads. So I have my son Tyler, his wife Jana, My son Jordan, who has a fabulous young lady. She happens to be from the Chicago area, but I guarantee you, Lindsay Grace is home. She is right now just weeks away from our 8th grandchild. And she'd be an excellent Climax Scouts girl. Bo, my son, and his wife Brittany. And then probably the youngest man who has the most courage of anybody I've ever coached. Our 20 and 12 All-State football player married my daughter. Kirk Gibson and Janae Gibson. So to be a part of that inside that family in a small rural school has been absolutely an incredible blessing. I call coming to Climax Scouts a perfect storm. They had lost over 70% of their football games. When we got there, they dropped varsity football. It did not even exist. They played a JV schedule. So they were in a position where they could take somebody who was quirky and odd, and that would be me. So they allowed me to be me. They allowed me to do things differently than other places. And so with that opportunity, in 1998, Dr. Balcom, at that time, who was the superintendent, interviewed me. I had shorts on, sandals, and a t-shirt. And I ended up getting that job in 1999. It's amazing. I think about the process of the 20 years when Jack read some of those things. I think about this. There's no way that one person can do that. To me, there should be a line of people next to me that have been a part of these 20 years in what we will determine as success on a football field. One of the shirts that we have and we pass around is this. We say we refuse to be solely defined by the outcome of a game. We refuse. We want to be judged by is the inside of that heart and the human being that we are. So it's amazing how God can use a simple sinner, as myself, a simple yet beautiful game like football, to change lives. My first coach, well, let me back up. I have some students inside here. I have a saying, and I said this the other day, one of my ex-students can repeat this. So I teach 7th grade social studies. Here's the great thing about being a small school. I teach 3 classes, I'm the dean of students, I'm the athletic director, and I coach 2 sports. It's a beautiful thing. So if you're a 7th grader in my class, one of the very first days I will tell you this. I said, man, this is one crazy place. I don't care if you're a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist, an agnostic, it doesn't make a difference. The really, really smart people tell me this. This place that we're standing on is rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. We're revolving at 67,000 miles an hour. We tilt at exactly 23.5 degrees. We breathe something in we call oxygen. We can't taste, smell, touch, nothing. And we're the 3rd rock from the sun. Wow. What is your purpose? What's your purpose going to be through this journey we call life? In my mind, our family, and in the extension that would be Climax Scouts, trying to use athletics to teach sacrifice. How can you do that, right? Football, athletics, serve others. The school shooting in Florida, correct? I don't know if I have all my facts straight, but I believe 3 people who went toward the shooting. We have an athletic director who was a wrestling coach, I believe the line coach, the football coach, and a cross-country coach. To me, somewhere along the line, they understood about athletics and sacrifice as they gave their lives for some young people in that room. I told you I have a girlfriend for 40 years. That future mother-in-law I don't think was real happy 40 years ago. Hopefully I've changed her mind. I was 14 years old when I met her. We'll be married 33 years this June. When we talk about somebody who should be standing up here, that girlfriend should be up here with me. Twice her husband did this. Her husband went to her one time and said, hey, listen, I think God's calling us to take a job. How would you like to take about a $10,000 pay cut? We had 3 kids. She said, absolutely. I got fired in 6 months. She still stayed married to me. 7 years later, we regather ourselves, we go there, we get things back. We feel like God's calling us to be a football coach again. Football family. So I went to her and I said, hey, sweetheart, I think we need to start applying. We got a job offered to us at Climax Scouts. So I went up to her and I said, let's try this again. We now have 4 kids. How would you like to take a $15,000 pay cut? She didn't work. She was a stay-home mom. She said, let's do it. 20 years later is part of that story. So to me, when you talk about sacrifices, right, I think that girlfriend of 40 years has been the main one who has led that charge, who has taken the bullet for her husband. I'm going to tell you right now, Climax Scott's right, should be more thankful that 20 years ago they brought Kimberly Ray Johnson Langs to Climax Scott's than Kevin Langs, because she truly is the Hall of Famer that Climax Scott's received. If you would, please give a big hand for my wife. Just leave you with this quote. John Wooden, right? We have 4 kids here today. We have 7 grandkids, 1 more on the way. John Wooden makes a great statement. What's the greatest gift a husband or a father can give to his children? It's to love their mother. And I hope that my kids, beyond all the imperfectness of their father, believe that their dad loves their mother. Thank you to the association for this opportunity. Thank you.